Hello, everyone. It's Philip Lee returning with another episode of Civil War Chat. It's Valentine's Day, 2022. At one time, I didn't know what day that it was, but now I do know. So I'm not going to give you the date. You'll have to know it yourself. Okay, Dan, yeah, there's somebody out there I know that wants you to know that date, so you better figure it out. There's down here below, click on the subscribe button if you'd like to subscribe to future episodes, and also click in the far upper right the notification bell, which will notify you when new episodes of Civil War Chat get released. Okay, today's topic is give me that old Andy Jackson. As the first commoner elected president in 1828 after a string of 6 aristocrats, Andrew Jackson of Tennessee was suspicious of the cultural elite and their minions among the federal employees. He proposed term limits for elected officials and replaced about 15% of those who had been appointed by earlier administrations. He felt that, quote, rotation of office, close quote, rather than permanent tenure should be the principle of a democracy. Quote, there are, he said, few men who can for any great length of time enjoy office and power without being under the influence of feelings unfavorable to the faithful discharge of their public duties. They are apt to acquire a habit of looking with indifference upon the public interest. In other words, they're going to look at their own interest and damn the public interest. As far as the tenured people, bureaucrats in Washington are concerned, they're only concerned with their interest, not with yours. Andy Jackson anticipated our present deep state of career government bureaucrats who decide most of the policies and rulings that actually govern our lives without any accountability to the public. Those bureaucrats have no accountability to the voter. Recently, for example, employees of the Department of Occupational Health and Safety were blocked from implementing President Biden's COVID-19 mask and vaccine mandates only because the attempt was litigated and ruled illegal by the Supreme Court. If nobody had undertaken to assume the costly risk of challenging government lawyers, the illegal mandate would have been implemented, even if an overwhelming percentage of voters oppose it, as the recent backing away from mandates in the blue states suggest they do oppose. There would never have been a voter referendum, just as there was none in the states like Virginia that raised 100-year-old Confederate statues, and instead we had bureaucrats doing that. Presently, a combination of federal, state, and local workers has made government America's largest employment sector. They account presently for more than 1 out of every 7 workers. Public sector unions provide them ironclad job security. America's 3 largest are respectively the National Education Association, Service Employees International, and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. All of those unions should be outlawed, in my opinion. Since all routinely endorse Democrats, they also support racial and gender quotas, as well as poisonously vicious, fraudulent ideologies like critical race theory and identity victimology. During the 2016 presidential election between Hillary and Donald Trump, 95%, 19 out of all 20, 19/20ths of all federal employee public donations went to Hillary. Just as in the days of Jackson's, federal employees, our federal employees, sneered at a candidate, meaning Trump, who represented common Americans. The power of the unelected administrative state is insidious. It encompasses taxes, surveillance, criminal justice, national security, and regulations of all kinds. Small business owners are almost defenseless against an opposing bureaucrat who has the unlimited resources of the state behind him, or should I say her, because they're mostly women now. When an independent trucker is targeted for participating in a mask mandate protest, for example, bureaucrats know they can probably bully him with impunity due to their union and civil service protections and the targeted businesses' paucity of resources. Lois Lerner, who was director of exempt organizations at the Internal Revenue Service, got away with targeting mostly conservative groups before the 2012 election. She had ensured that dozens of nonprofits opposing Democrats would not receive prompt tax-exempt status, thereby deterring donations to them. Today's critics of Andrew Jackson's rotation of office principle often ridicule it as a political spoil system that can weaken a workforce meritocracy. While Jackson appreciated such arguments, as do I, and no doubt you, Jackson felt that the benefits of rotation were greater than its flaws. Quote, "The duties of nearly all public officers are so plain and simple that men of intelligence may readily qualify themselves," close quote. Far from damaging performance, rotation would improve it because workers would appreciate that their jobs were not entitlements of tenure and to be taken for granted. Jackson said, quote, "I cannot but believe that more is lost by the long continuance of men in office who have been there for ages than is gained by their experience," close quote. Since Jackson knew that the fear of being fired would motivate many bureaucrats to improve their job performance, he only dismissed about 15% of them during the 8 years he was in office. That again is about less than 1 in 7 of the employees over 8 years. While the recent retreat from mask mandates in blue states is an encouraging sign, recognize that our opposing mission to these bureaucrats and left-wing tyrants is much like mowing a lawn. It cannot be done in one instance and then put aside. It must be done repeatedly. If not, the recently clipped tyrants will grow anew. You are invited to share our mission to support traditional values. Because of your support, our YouTube subscriptions grew to over 1,000 last week. So to support this, consider buying my books. Give them good ratings at Amazon if you like them. Share them and keep mowing our lawn. Keep mowing that lawn so that the weeds of identity politics and critical race theory and anti-Southern historical interpretations do not grow again in our lawn. So one of the books that you may enjoy is The Confederacy at Flood Tide. It's about the period from June of 1862 to December of 1862, when the Confederacy came closest to winning its independence. It involves military, diplomatic, political actions in all theaters: Eastern, Western, Trans-Mississippi, and of course, international. You can get a autographed copy directly from me for $31 if you live here in the United States, and I will cover postage. So just contact me and we'll arrange that. But the book is available for $29 or $28, excuse me, at Barnes & Noble and Amazon. So if you'd prefer to just get an unautographed copy, then just you can get it there. Okay, that's our show for today, and thanks for watching.